So we all are entitled to our own identity, right? And we're all entitled to realizing that being gifted is truly something that is unique to each one of us. The commonalities are the processing. And you are perfect, whole, and complete exactly as you are. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with all the other gifted people you know and who we all look a little different. There's nothing wrong with the people who are neurotypical either. That's the beauty of the humans. We are all different in the way we perceive things. Hi, friends. It's Dianne here, and we're talking today about different ways you can tell you're gifted. I have had so many people recently say, I relate to everything you say, and I write it down, and it makes so much sense to me, but I don't think I'm gifted. Or gifted people are all stuck up, and so I don't want to be one of them. Or I don't even know what that word means. I've heard so many different things. So I thought that today I would tell you a bunch of different ways to tell if you're gifted. And I want you first to realize that giftedness is not just about what you know. It's not just about learned knowledge. It's not the fact that you can repeat an encyclopedia or you have breadth of information, though that does come with it. That's not all it is. And so a lot of times you're going to appreciate what I have to say or understand it because on a real experiential level, you feel it in your being. So gifted is not just about intelligence. It's not about what you know. It's more about how your brain processes your experience, how your neurons, how your cells of your being engage with the world, how you process your experience. That in a gifted person is qualitatively different than someone who is not. For example, gifted people, one of the ways you'll know you're gifted is if you like to collect things. I remember when I was little, it was thimbles and it was spoons and Norman Rockwell plates. Whatever it was, you want to collect it. In fact, Post-it notes are one collection. Now, just in this little drawer here, we have multitudes of them. See all the different colors, all the different styles, and there's lots of them. Hold on. But wait, there's more. Post-it notes. Do you like going to office supply stores and get every color you possibly can? Now, I know I've used these over the years in different workshops and retreats I've done, but the point is I'm gifted and I love to collect them all. And I like to have them so that I can use whatever color my heart's desire is. And pens. Do you have a lot of pens? Do you have a special pen that you write with? I do. I have special pens. I have this whole container, and this is the only container that my business mentor will let me keep on my desk. But I snuck and kept a big basket of pens, every other kind of pen in the world, because us gifted people, we collect things. Another way you know you're gifted is sometimes you're the first one to laugh at a joke, right? Like you get the joke before other people, or maybe you're telling a joke that's a little bit different that not everybody can get it right away, but you get it right away. So you're the first to laugh. That's one of the ways you know you're gifted, right? Or another way you can know you're gifted is if you can taste nuance in sauces or foods or things. Here, Allie wants to say hi to you. And that's another way you can tell you're gifted, right? Another way you can tell you're gifted is that you can connect dots, that you synthesize information, that you see patterns very easily, you have good pattern recognition, and you can put the dots together on things that are important. That's another way you know you're gifted. Another way, see, there's so many ways that you can know you're gifted. And you notice how I'm not mentioning anything about an IQ test, because you can have an IQ test and you can have a lot of knowledge and you can be gifted even if you flunk that IQ test. Yeah, because gifted people process the world differently. Some gifted people have speech delay. They don't speak a lot initially because their brain is processing their world differently. And so if you're resonating with the things that I talk about and you're resonating with other things that the word gifted is associated with it, what we're really saying is that you have a brain that processes things in a unique manner. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's an asset. It's a gift. It's something that is uniquely special about you. And a very small minority of the population have those same sensitivities and gifts. Now, a gifted person also has better intuition often than a lot of people. Or you might be an empath, meaning you feel other people's feelings, meaning you can experience things with them or dive deep into a topic and get so excited. You also know you're gifted if you get very impatient when somebody interrupts you when you're concentrating on something. You don't like being interrupted. Another way you know you're gifted is a sense of justice. When there's an injustice going on, gifted people tend to get upset in different ways. So gifted people have a high priority for justice, being correct. Now, it's interesting about correct because a lot of times people think that means, having to be right all the time, like right fighting. And that's not what it means. What it does mean to be correct is that you use the correct word to go with the right experience. So I have a lot of gifted clients I work with, right? And some of them will think of an idea, can watch it go through their mind, and then it takes them a while to formulate the proper sentence and use the correct words. And I noticed myself saying something. I was just in a session with somebody and I went to speak and I said, well, what I'm thinking. And then I had to stop for a moment to say the correct word to go with what I wanted to communicate. So there's a precision in the language of a gifted person. So sometimes it looks like they stumble, or sometimes it looks like they may not know what they want to say, but it's because we're searching for the correct word to most closely describe the meaning or the message that we want to share. A lot of people, the majority of people, will never speak like that. They just say whatever. That practically hurts the soul of a gifted person, right? So there's so many ways you can tell you're gifted. You can also tell you're gifted because sometimes you know things that you don't know how you know them. But you're right. Isn't that good? I think it's fun. It's real good. I wrote a few things down. Let me see what other things I wrote down because it's really fun. We love solving a problem, right? Or solving a thing, a situation. And it doesn't even matter if it's like, we get accolades for it or not. We get the inner accolade. We get that dopamine and that serotonin rush because we got to solve whatever the issue is. We research and dive into things and get all curious. And then when we solve whatever it is, we get the answer to what we're looking for. That is reward enough in itself because the serotonin and the dopamine flow and we feel wonderful just for the act of solving whatever the challenge or situation or problem could be. And so it's important to realize that gifted people then often have difficulty in relationships, often have difficulty in teams at work, and often share interesting experiences with other people, with their family and friends. Because the way the brain works is variant from the typical. That's important to remember. So you're gifted if you have to turn the music down in order to see street signs. Have to turn the music down in order to see where you're going because of the sensory stimulation. You're gifted if you can taste different scents and different things, right? There's all kinds of ways to know. But the most important thing to realize is that a gifted brain develops in an asynchronous manner. So the way your brain is developing is different than a neurotypical person's brain. Neither is right or wrong. It's the awareness of the difference. Understanding that you may be ahead in one area and behind in another. And then pretty soon it'll switch or it finally harmonizes. And somebody with a different brain chemistry, a different brain function, a different way of coming into the world's brain's going to harmonize differently. And there's no wrong. The key is to remember you're not sick. There's nothing wrong with you. Having somebody tell you you're gifted or having a diagnosis of ADHD does not mean that you're disabled. It means that you process the world differently. So when the world lands on you, you experience it differently. I know that personally, when big, intense emotions hit me, sometimes I can feel it right here in my chest. Sometimes I feel it in my eyes and in my head, like it's just a lot. And sometimes I even say to people, it's too people-y out there. If there's crowds of people or chaos that my system is not ready for, all my senses will send me information that tells me, watch out. And it's not because there's real and present danger, it's because there's an overwhelm and an overstimulation. And gifted brains have a harder time than other people. So sometimes you might find yourself feeling like you have social anxiety, you don't want to be around a lot of people, or you don't like crowds, or banging noises or things that are surprises that are startling can often lead you to the decision that you're gifted. Now, I've listed a whole bunch of things. How many of them do you have? I probably have all of them, if not on some level, because I'm gifted and I have all these things. And there's all different other things too. There's all the different sensory things. Like sometimes I find myself like rubbing my legs or giving myself a hug because it feels good. Or maybe sleeping with a heavier blanket or a weighted blanket even, so that there's that comfort that goes with that. These are all things that gifted people do. Yeah. Gifted people also sometimes are more entrepreneurs and have a difficult time in team settings because small talk doesn't fare very well in the gifted world. And sometimes being misinterpreted or misunderstood by team members who are not gifted is so painful that gifted people shy away from certain kinds of teams and often find themselves entrepreneurs or working on their own. So you know you're gifted if you can relate to content from gifted people and you're thinking, I relate to that, I relate to that, I relate to that, then the answer is you have 100% of the quiz. There's so many different ways that giftedness expresses through people in art, in music, in creativity, in thinking strategies, in verbalizations, in lack of verbalizations. There's so many ways. But the key to remember, I think, is that giftedness is not about what you know. It's about how you process. And so when people ask me, well, how do you know I'm gifted? All I have to do is listen and pay attention to how you process things. And do you process things in a manner that typical gifted people do or typical neurotypical people do? How do you process? Usually, the processing speed in a gifted person is more fast. Usually, a gifted person might speak a little faster, more rapid speech because of the energy coming through, right? Because their brain's moving so fast. And sometimes the speech is much more calculated and slower because the brain's going fast. So it's not always evident on the outside exactly what it is, but what is evident is the processing. You know, I was just speaking to a client and she has a son in college, and we were talking about his processing, how he processes things. You share the information and then he'll go think about it, and then he'll come back and want to discuss it. So if that's your style as a gifted person and you're in a relationship with somebody who wants to hash it out right then, and you don't have that space to go process and think about before you engage, there could be real relationship communication challenges. And I see that a lot where people don't understand that we all process differently. And just because I need some time to process doesn't mean I'm not going to engage. It means I need to have my time to process, period. And I have another client who has another son. I have several people that I'm working with that have children in college. And it's so interesting because this same girl, a similar kind of thing, but she processes so fast that she gets ahead of herself and sometimes makes fear-based decisions or judgments or kind of impulsive things because she's moving too fast that she misses some of the facts and information and beauty along the way and makes decisions without all the information because she was moving too fast. So you know you're gifted when sometimes the world gives you feedback that you're out of sync or you're not quite with it, or it's hard to be in that group or that team or do that project. Those are all signs that there's a part of your brain that's developing and harmonizing differently than other people. It doesn't make you right or wrong, and it doesn't mean you're sick. What it does mean is you have this beautiful gift, you have this amazing way of interacting with the world, and it would be a really great idea, I think, for you to honor that and cherish that in you, and then to make friends with it to the point where you can live in that flow. So you know you're gifted if your way of experiencing the world, the way the world lands on you, is uniquely sensitive and different from the common people around you, from the others around. If you have that level of sensitivity and intuition and that empathic skill, and you process faster than the average people around you, the other averages, you will see that yes, in fact, you are gifted. And with being gifted comes multiples of challenges. Many people think that gifted people have it made. You're so smart, you have it made, And I'm like, well, I am smart, but I don't have it made. Sometimes living in this body, in this brain with all of these sensitivities is quite challenging. Sometimes the clients I work with who are very, very profoundly gifted and very smart and amazing people really struggle with just dealing with the sensory input and how to make it through the world with all of the chaos going on. So we all are entitled to our own identity, right? And we're all entitled to realizing that being gifted is truly something that is unique to each one of us. The commonalities are the processing. And you are perfect, whole, and complete exactly as you are. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with all the other gifted people you know and who we all look a little different. There's nothing wrong with the people who are neurotypical either. That's the beauty of the humans. We are all different in the way we perceive things. It's the same thing you see with our animals, our cats, our dogs, our birds, or whatever. They're different. Every one of them does the world a little different. My old Labradoodle Maggie, who I miss every day, was very laid back, kind of cool, hung out. My little dog, my cockapoo Allie, she's a mischievous, playing all the time. Now she will rest, but she's going to be playing all the time. That's how the humans do it. There's some of us who are way more active and mischievous and other people who are laid back. The balance and the harmony and the equilibrium, that's what it's about. So remember, you're gifted if you realize that you connect the dots. You have great synthesizing ability, that you can do more than one thing. And you process the world in a way that is different than the norm. I hope this episode has helped you. I hope it has reminded you that when we are gifted, it means that we have a unique set of challenges. It means that we have a unique set of abilities to bring something magical and beautiful to the world. As always, feel free to make a get to know you call. That link is in the show notes. I'm happy to talk to you about this or any other subject and give me some of your ideas. And some of you have given me some really great ideas recently, and I'm putting those shows together now. So you'll be seeing them coming very, very soon. Thank you for your suggestions. Now, remember, folks, until the next episode of Someone Gets Me, keep your face to the sun so the shadows fall behind you, because you're a rock star. You're here on purpose with a mighty purpose. So go out there and let your giftedness shine. As one of my clients says to me, I'm going to let my freak flag fly. But what really matters is be you. Be aligned and be you. Until the next episode of Someone Gets Me, this is Dianne saying, be well.